Hey guys, good morning everybody. Today is Tuesday, December 9th. It is 6:26 right now. We got market opening up shortly in about 4 minutes. A lot of trades today. So if you guys looked at the list, there's a lot of trades on the list for today. So let's see. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. 24 trades. It's a lot of trades. 24 listed trades for the day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 target entries. Um, the clusters aren't as bad today. Or, I mean, the clusters aren't as crazy, but there's like one cluster for the target entries, which is going to be the first one. Here are the statistics on that first target entry. So it has a 7.79 max equity drawdown. The max equity drawdown is based on a 2% risk per trade. So this shows that, for this specific strategy, it has it has less than a four back-to-back loss period. So that's pretty good for a 20, trade period. Um, with that being said, we have a 60% probability of winning and a 2.251 profit factor. So this strategy or this entry time is pretty good. Looking over here at the buy positions, it's an 80% long, so it won 8 out of the previous 10 entries for buys, and for sells here, it won 4 out of the previous 10. So overall, I mean, buys here look better. Um, Performance is pretty good overall on this. And yeah, this will be the first target entry for today. Hey Mendez, morning, Paul, morning, Lila, morning, Nikki. Yeah, Nikki said 7 a.m. news though. Yeah, so for this specific entry, I mean, it's gonna be a little tricky because it's right next to news. So I'd have to be in and out pretty quickly. Like I'm not gonna hold it into 7 most likely. If I do get into it, I'll probably just jump in. Hopefully it hits target right away and then, be out of it. So we'll we'll see. I mean, we'll see as we get closer to it. It's a it's a 5 minute period. So, I mean, obviously the first one's going to be maybe okay. The next ones are going to be a little more tricky, or the one following it. So, yeah, we have news today at 7 o'clock. We have JOLTS job openings. It is forecasted to be negative, it looks like. Doesn't necessarily mean price is going to spike that direction, but we'll see. So unpredictable, right? All right, we got the opening candle right here. If you're going to go with momentum, it's going to be for a sell. If you're going against momentum, it's going to be for a buy. Um, this one right here on open has a 60% overall probability. Max drawdown is 9.68, so this shows that it can last for about 5 trades of maximum drawdown. Profit factor is 2.052. Buy percentage is 100%. So obviously I would like to go for buy there if it was there, but that's kind of what you'd be looking for. So we'll see what happens here when market opens up. And there's another trade following it right after. The max drawdown's kind of close or kind of high, but I'm looking at the list over here. There's one trade that probably shouldn't be on the list. It's going to be the 729. I just realized the max drawdown's pretty high on that one. So, all right, guys, market is now open. We got price pushing up. Like I said, the buys here would have been good. It has a 100% probability for buys. So this would be a no entry because it actually came up for a sell, but the buy there would have played through. So today's algo entries, 6:29 a.m., no entry. This is it. The statistics look good though for that buy. 100% probability for the past 20 trade sample. So, all right, guys, market is open. Let's see what we got here. All right, we have another one here. It's gonna be another no entry, fortunately. The buy signal didn't close yet. So no buy entry there. So this is kind of like the opposite of yesterday, right? We had a big spike to the downside. Now we have a big spike to the upside. Let's measure how far this pushed up in this lower point. About 160, 170 points right here on open. Big spike to the upside. Um, Clean this up a little bit. So there was a bunch of liquidity sitting up there. I looked at it pre-market. Here, there's some levels here. I mean, they've been pretty much knocked out, but I'll just mark them up anyways. So let's see. This is just our markup chart. So we had some previous um, structure here. Price pretty much knocked it out. This is all the liquidity that's sitting from last night. Market was kind of flat. I mean, these levels are a little bit irrelevant right now, but they were relevant at one point, at least before this big spike to the upside. So just marking up these levels here. I mean, I'll do an analysis of the market overall to kind of show you guys where things are going and where it's moving, etc. But you can see the structure here is irrelevant. The structure here was relevant at one point, right before it spiked up. Now we have this big green candle push up, and now it's irrelevant. Um, I mean, who knows? It might come right back down. So, you know, this is actually, I'm gonna just draw in the imbalance because the imbalance is gonna be more relevant than the actual, basically than everything else here. So I'm just gonna leave it like that because this is a huge imbalance. We'll see if price comes back and retests it, or if price invalidates it and comes back below, right? Two things that could happen right there. Huge imbalance, of course. I have the power of three indicator on there. It's not really necessary, but it kind of helps to see like, I mean, especially on this chart. So I'm gonna put that over here real quick. Did they change it? Might be this one right here. There we go. Yeah, that's kind of good to see right here because if you see a rejection, just to see how big this is the daily candle, although we do have the rejection right here on the 30, just to see like, it's rejecting off the value low right here, it's pushing through. The bullish candle does look good for the most part. If you guys are looking at the technical, it's not necessary, but we'll follow through. Anyways, here's the algo. We're back over here. We have another, well, this is going to be against momentum, so there might be a possible reversal in a few minutes. If you're looking at the at my algo entries, we have an against momentum at 637. So you might start to see a reversal some point right here. The volatility starts to die down. If you guys looked at the list, it's highlighted in yellow. All of the against momentum are highlighted in yellow. Yeah, Masich said morning, it might just sit at in that imbalance range all day, in and around. Yeah, I could see that too, because it's so far up, right? That imbalance is huge. Like it might not even, what it might do is, yeah, like you said, it might just range around this upper area right here, or it might come back below and then range within it, right? Very tricky in a sense with regard to where it may go. So here's the actual orb. Price has broken above it. The orb is right here at 47,902. So if you're looking for that retest, there's two things that'll likely happen around this orb entry, either break and retest of that, or it's going to invalidate, come back below. Yeah, depending on where you guys marked up the orb, that's kind of where the orb is at. So if you look at this closely, the price is actually pushed back into yesterday's orb, right? So the orb was established right here yesterday, this blue box, and it's actually back into the orbs zone from yesterday. So it looks like whatever happened yesterday, we had a big drop to the downside. It basically corrected right back up. So we had this big dump yesterday, right? 6:30 on Monday, and then it's coming right back up. So it's basically balancing out. So it looks, if you just look at it closely, price is balancing from this level to today. So this actually looks right. If you look at the market profile right here, see how this is, yes, where is it? So this is where price dumped from yesterday. Price has came below, ranged pretty much the entire day, and it pushed right back up to where it was supposed to be, right? This is price being balanced. So if you look at it closely, the target area for this to actually reach is going to be this green box right here. This is the point of control. So that's something to look out for if you guys are looking to take that, or if you're looking to use that, as a target area. That's probably where price is going to push up to, right up here. I don't know if it'll push up that high, but that's like the only realistic target level. There's another level right here from Friday. It's already at the point of control from Friday, which is right there. But yeah, this candle is huge. It's due for retracement. I'm just gonna pull back. I think it will. So the algo is perfectly spot on. So remember I told you guys the algo is gonna turn right here? Look what's happening. So if you look at my algo, I identify the reversal to happen at 6:37. What time is it? 6:37. The algo was exactly on point with the reversal. So we'll see if it reverses back down further. I mean, I think it will. It's overextended way too high. Nice. Paul took the orb for 1-to-1. One win for him today. Nice work. Masish said I don't think it's gonna break below it. Yeah, we'll kind of see where it's at. All right, so here's the first entry. It's against momentum. First entry for the algo right there. Where's my box at? The hell? Did I have a box with all the entries for today? I guess I deleted it. Okay, whatever. I'll draw another one. So there's a 637 entry right there. That's the first algo entry that actually came up for today. Did I put it in the, let me see. I might have put it in the wrong. Huh. That's weird. Okay, I think I might have accidentally deleted it. It's okay. I'll put it back over here. So today's algo entries. This trade is actually not one that we would take. That's why it's highlighted in yellow. I don't take the against momentum. It's just used to identify possible reversals. Um, Reversals that are going to follow up with a possible momentum push. So like we look at it to identify reversal points, and then we look for momentum to shift in that direction. But it's not a trade that I'm looking to take. I don't really like taking against momentum. They do hit sometimes. There's only one against momentum trade that I really like. If you guys look at the list, it's the obvious one. It's the one that has the highest profit factor. It's a 717 one. So if you look at the 717 entry against momentum, that one's really, really high. So you look at it, it has a 5.06 max drawdown, 65% probability of winning overall, 72% probability for buys, 55% for sells, and it has a 3.124 profit factor. So the 717 one's actually really good. I mean, I just won't take it because I already made the decision not to take against momentum, but that is one of the main ones. For those of you who are looking or have been looking to take those specific entries there. But again, like I said, these against momentum, this is why I don't like taking them because the reversals don't last very long, right? Unless they're followed up with a with momentum right after, they usually don't hold for too long. They're like a little partial push. So if you do want to take these against momentum, I usually would go for a smaller target. The 40 is a little too far out when you're going against it like that. And you can see over here, this is an example of why. Because you want to go with momentum, right? The whole point of taking this specific algo entry is that you want to ride momentum. If you look at the list of trades, the with momentum doesn't follow up until like 14 minutes later. So that's why like this would be hard to follow up with. But I just wanted to show you guys that the reversal was identified here, and the algo is actually very spot on with identifying the reversal here. It started to turn up here, and then at 7:37, that's when it really started to drop. Uh, There's another against, which is going to be a little later. So there's going to be probably another reversal if you guys are looking at the list. in about like 10 minutes or so. So reversal to the downside and then possible reversal back up. But it looks like this one here is going to hit, of course, and full TP right there if you guys caught that. That's the first algo entry today that came up, 650, 637. I'm not gonna put it on the list, but I'm gonna put it in the notes. So so there goes the first entry right there. I'm just gonna put win, no trade because it's against momentum. And the algo was very spot on with that there. Yeah, so Barack said, and here I was waiting for it to at least touch 47,650 before I could look for buys. Yeah, Masij said, I just correct along the top of the imbalance and slowly head back up. I could see that because we do have another against momentum come up in about 10 minutes, right? So I could see that being the case. Price pulls up, retraces, retests, and pushes right back to the upside. Let's see. Looks like they tried to fade you right there, right on that one. Um, but it didn't work. So nice work on that. Sweet. Paul took the trade right there, full TP. Nice work, Paul. Brock said he's jumping in late. Let's see. All right, CJ caught it, full move on that. Solange got it. He double dipped into it for a 4R. Nice work, Solange. Masih said they can't stop my 5 contracts. Nice. How did that tool play out for you, Masih? I know you have that reversal tool that you were working on. Did it show you that it was going to happen around then? I'm looking at the data. It looked good. Okay, yeah, nice. So Masih, he basically created like I mean, he's just using the data basically. To identify where the turns are going to happen. You can use it based off the algo data that I post up. So if you guys look at the algo data, and I'll show you guys later, once the session is over, I will show you guys the list. But basically, if you look at the ones that I highlighted in yellow, you can kind of identify that that's where the turnarounds are going to happen, like where price is going to start to reverse the other way. And it did exactly that. So yeah, nice work to you guys who caught it. And you don't have to catch them exactly at those price points. You can just use it as a confluence, of course. Hey, Sam, morning. Hey, Al, morning. Let's see. So price came and retested that imbalance, guys. So it did exactly what we talked about, right? I mentioned price is going to push up, maybe come back and retest the imbalance and push right back up from there. That's exactly what's happening right here. We had the retest of the imbalance, and price is now sitting at the imbalance. Gotcha. Message got in at 35, though. Actually, yeah. Missy should also probably want to warn you, if you change around the TP stop loss, it may invalidate the strategy. All of our data is based on a 40-20. You need to back test a 20-20 for reversal. Yeah, you can just change the numbers in there, Paul, so you can like go in and just adjust it to 20-20 instead to see what the statistics look like, right? You don't need to, but if you want to, I mean, it's going to help. Usually, if you do the 40-20, though, it's going to show that it's going to push in that direction. So if it wins for 40-20, it's obviously going to hit the 20-20. It's just the profitability would change a little bit. Like for example here, so currently at a 60-60 profitability. If I change this to 20-20, it goes up a little bit, right? Just a little bit. Profitability is not as high because it's not a 1-2. So it's 1.821. But if we're doing a 1-2 right there, it goes up quite a bit because it pushes up high enough. All right, so we'll see what happens here. Next entry is going to come up in a bit. Yeah. So what I'm seeing on the list now, there's a lot of entries that have been showing up lately, guys. So like there's it's good that we have a long list, but um and it's not bad because our target entry is still a lot more strict. But like looking at the list, it gives you more opportunities to kind of look for entries or to use it to your advantage for confluence confirmation. Um, but yeah, obviously you need to add like some more filters to kind of weed out the bad trades. Well, not really bad trades, but the trades that are not as high probability, of course. I do like the fact that we have a lot to choose from though now. Because like November, it was pretty small, right? I mean, looking at the list from November, there was like, it was pretty minimal. So if you guys are just joining in, I talked about this earlier. I know some people asked about this, like what the max equity drawdown is based off of. Um, Basically, the way that I have it set it up is that every trade risks 2%. So if the max equity drawdown is 7.79, this shows that there could be a total or a max of about four back-to-back losses before a win's bound to happen. So that's just something to keep in mind. Losses are a part of the game. They happen every so often. So the 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 thing with the max equity drawdowns, you just want to make sure you're taking a trade that doesn't lose too much, right? And a lot of the stuff is going to tie in together. These all factor in together, right? Max equity drawdown, profitable trades, and profit factor. If the max equity drawdown is too high, if it's like 15, 20, 30%, the profitability is not going to be above 50 or 60. And the profit factor is also not going to be very high. So these all tie in together. They all tie in and they all have their place in identifying criteria for these specific algo entries. Yeah, Masij said, well, none of them are bad because they're all in profit. I'm tracking win rate. Uh, if you take them all, no more losses soon. We're gonna find the unicorn. Joking, but still, win rate should increase drastically. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so like I mean that's what I mean about like having the list, right? Miss EJ, it's like having the longer list of quality, not quality, but like I guess quality trades. And then when we add those filters, we can improve and weed out the lesser quality trees, of course. The overall win rate's kind of tricky though, right? It's a little tricky because at threshold, sometimes you'll see entries that have like a 40% profitability, but then the max equity drawdown, the profit factor is still good. So, I mean, we'll have to play around with it. Once we have all the data and we have it all kind of panned out, we can kind of identify, maybe there's a smaller threshold for profitable trades, or maybe we should put um, a more bigger focus on something else like profit factor or max equity drawdown. I think my main goal is really to minimize the losses. I think that's what I'd like to do. If I can minimize the losses as much as possible and be able to improve on, profitability long term, I think that's the best way. Because that's how you could last in this game, really, right? Minimize your losses so that you don't have a lot of drawdown, making it um, easier for you to recoup your losses. I think that's the biggest problem with a lot of people is that if you go into drawdown too much, you don't necessarily blow your account, but it might take a long time for you to recoup. And I think that's a problem for most people, especially if you're on a prop firm, right? If you're on a prop firm account, you can only lose so much, right? They give you, I think, what is it, like 6% drawdown. So yeah, it does affect it quite a bit. Let me see the contract sizes over here. I was doing the math yesterday. Where did I put it at? I'll look at it in a little bit. We have the entry coming up shortly. So if you wanted to make it impossible to blow your prop account, and I think that's like one of the biggest things for a lot of people, depending on which account size you're using. If you're doing a 50/50, I think it's a 6% max drawdown. So you just lower your size to like 1% per risk. Because if you do lower than 1%, your max drawdown would be about 3%. So it makes it almost like pretty much virtually impossible to blow your account. Because max drawdown should never go that far. Yeah, Masij said, I mean, win rate compared to TP stop loss. I think via the deep back test, we'll find a strategy with like a 90% win rate, but there will be like two trades a month. Yeah, exactly, Masij. And we got to make sure to take those trades, right? I think that's the biggest thing. It's like we need to identify those 90% probability trades, and we got to make sure we take those and don't miss them. Because that's like the thing that's the worst part of like having the statistics and not being able to take the ones that are like really, really high. All right, so we are coming up right here at 6:52, guys. This is going to be against momentum because we don't have a sell signal here. This is going to be a no entry. If you guys are looking at my list of entries for today, so this is going to be 6:52, no entry. You have another one coming up shortly. So far for today, guys, there's just one entry that came up, which was this one over here. The reversal started happening right here at 6:45, and it pushed up right here as we get closer to 6:52. We have another entry coming up in a bit. For those of you who are looking to get into it, it's not going to be a target entry, but it is listed on the trades for today. It is coming up in about a minute. Let's see. Jonathan said I have my risk set up for my 150K with a risk of 500 per day. I can afford to lose 12 trades before blowing my account. Yeah, that's a key thing, right? If you can just set it up your contract size where you can, accept the losses, but actually take advantage of the wins, then that's key. Because our win rates, it's pretty decent. I mean, overall, right? It's pretty decent overall. All right, so we have an entry coming up in a bit. For those of you who are looking, it's going to be the start of a cluster. This cluster is going to be for a while, looks like. There's no structure up here. We're pretty much out in the open right now. We're getting close to that point of control right here too. So price is going exactly to what we identified. The point of control, which is right there. All right, so we have this one right here that's currently it's currently pushed up. Let's see, I'm gonna put my pending order waiting up here.
Order submitted.
About 30 seconds left.
Order submitted.
About 15 seconds left. About 5 seconds.
Order filled.
So we got this right here.
Order canceled.
right, so unfortunately, this trade didn't fill for all the other accounts. It only filled for one of mine, which is my main one. I think it canceled for all the other ones. Yeah, it was a little too so I think I have my settings where it pushes out a little too far. It doesn't fill for the other accounts. So it only filled for one of my, just the main one. Let's see. I'm getting sick. Yeah, you can see there's no trade here on the list, or it's not on my screen because there's only one here that's currently running.
Stop filled.
So that was just one for the 655. So let me see. There's a cluster of trades here. There's a lot of them running. So let me see where I'm at. 652, there's no entry. I mean, there's going to be a lot of trades here list, but there's only going to be one that's going to be counted, which is going to be the first cluster, which is a 655. So unfortunately, I took a loss on that. It only took it on one account. You have another one that's right after it, but it wouldn't count because we wouldn't overlap it. So 654, which was the one above it, what was it at? I mean, that would be the only one that would have been the loss. So that one over there would have been this. There's one at 655. This would be yeah, it'd be an overlap. I'm starting to like not want to take these overlapping trades sometimes. I mean, these should typically be good or like for the most part, they should be okay. But what I've started to notice is these overlapping trades always have problems because there's so many listed at one point. So there's one at 657. That's one. 658. That's one. And then there's another one right here coming up at 705. This is going to be a reversal. So we'll see if this one over here comes up in a bit. We do have news coming up in about a minute. You know, this could have affected the trade, the pre-news movement because the news over here was negative, like I mentioned, whereas forecast would be negative. So looking at this over here, it was 7.227 previously and 7.2 for the consensus. So tricky entry right there based off the based off the news here. But we do have some more entries coming up a little later. So we got one, I'm not going to say the time, but we have one coming up a little later in a few. This one's going to be really tricky, honestly. The one that's, so if you guys are looking at the list of target entries, it's going to be tricky because it's in a cluster of against momentum trades. So you'll see there's an against momentum right before it, and then with, and then three against right after. So if anything, I might wait until the later times. Uh, the later target entries because those will probably be a little better. Anyways, let's see the news. The news is loading right here. News was negative for JOLTS job quits for September, and we'll see this one over here upload. So this is where it becomes tricky because usually we don't trade news, but the things we're trying to improve on not using our discretion, right? So the news here was actually positive. But it looks like we had some pre-news movement here because obviously the volatility was very flat. And then all of a sudden it picked up on this one candle right here. So it's all good. I mean, it is what it is, but the uh the um the whole point of this is, taking the entry without discretion. So if I got to be the guinea pig example for this, that's completely fine, right? I'll be the guinea pig example, of course, when it comes down to it. All right, so we got another entry coming up in a bit. Let's see. Yeah, this is going to be against momentum. And let me update my spreadsheet right now because there's just a lot of stuff here to look at. So no entry on that. 54. I'll just count the target entry as the loss, not the first one. So the overlap happens until 68, and then we have the against momentum at 705. I don't know if this is going to come up because the against momentum over here, this has it's for a sell. We already have a sell momentum at this point. So today so far, there's one win, one loss, one at 637, and then one loss over here at 654. So total for today is currently plus 1R. You got the next one coming up right here in a few. I'll just put the time. It's an against momentum, so it's not one that we typically like to take. I mean, if that's the case, it might come up right here. We're at 703, so 705 is going to come up in a bit. Yeah, Smith. So Smith was mentioning we're still looking to take more trades, Smith. We're not just looking for those 90% win ratio strat entries, but we want to make sure we take those and not miss them. So I'm still going to be looking at the stuff that's around like, 50 to 60, but we're going to make sure that we identify the 90s. I think that's the key thing for that. See. I mean, the good thing is that it only filled for like one account. It was actually one of those times where I'm glad I didn't fill for every account because, I mean, obviously it wouldn't be good, right, if they all filled. So it filled on my main account and then it pushed up a little high. I mean, you can see it from over here. So let's see. It filled it right here, and then after it pushed up, it basically canceled out the other ones. Let me see how far it pushed up from this point. Yeah, it pushed about like 20 points. So if it ever pushes up that high and doesn't fill, it just cancels on the other ones, which is good. I'd rather have it that way than for it to just, continuously fill. So this entry here at 705 is going to be a no entry, guys. So even though we have a long list of entries, there's still a lot of no entries here. That 705 entry had a 6.03 max drawdown, 55% probability overall, 50% for buys, 58% for sells, and had a 2.2 profit factor for a sell. Reason why this entry right here is no entry is because we would need a buy signal here for it to be against momentum. This would actually be with momentum. So no entry. So you guys can see, even though we have like a lot of entries that are listed, it doesn't necessarily mean they're all going to come up. You have this one coming up right here at, I'm not going to say the time, but it's a little bit of a tricky entry. The reason why I say tricky is because the max drawdown is exactly at 8. So I only have the choice to take one more trade for the day. Um, yeah, so I only have one more opportunity. As you guys know, for my risk, my max risk is I typically try to If I have two losses, it usually shows me that the market is just not really moving consistently like the way I need it to move. So if I have two back-to-back losses, I'm usually done for the day. So there's three more target entries um, coming up. The 713 one looks a little tricky. Sorry, I already said the number. Said I wasn't going to. But yeah, the max drawdown on that one's a little high. I mean, the max drawdown on this one was a little high too, 7.79. Our threshold is 8%. So I don't know if I'm gonna hold off on this one, just wait for the later ones, because the later ones are actually a lot better. So if you guys look at my list of trades, the ones that are coming up a little later today, that one has a 5.43% max drawdown. That shows that it loses maybe two or three times within the 20 trade sample, basically a month sample. So within a month, it's only lost two or three times, or less than 2.5 times. Overall win probability is 60. Buys are 75, sells are 37, and the profit factor is 3. The problem with that entry later on today is that it typically is a no entry. I mean, yesterday it was no entry. It's a good setup, but yesterday was no entry. Um, I mean, we'll see. Like yesterday, if you looked at it, there's only about two entries or three entries. The rest were no entries or overlapping. So we'll see. Yeah, the news kind of screwed me up on this right here. I hate when we have news coming up, but again, I have to I have to take my discretion. I'm trying my hardest to take my discretion out of these trades. It's a little difficult, but this is the only way. Really, it's really taking discretion out completely. Here, let's see. So, yeah, Masij mentioned also, Sean, have you even considered trading near market close when volatility is super low? With the hedge fund, you can move the market at that time 10, 15 points. Deep back test is testing all time ranges. Yeah, so I was actually thinking about that last night, Masij. I was thinking about trading on low volatile time. So I was thinking close to market close or even Asia session. I think Asia session could be good actually. Because during Asia session, if I'm going to be implementing all of the hedge fund accounts during those time periods, I can easily push the market. So yeah, because you're doing all time ranges. So we'll see once we have that data. If we find better entries or more consistency during Asia session, it doesn't even have to be super high, but high enough. Yeah, if you could, Masij, that'd be great. Yeah, Masij said, want me to pull the trades that for criteria tomorrow for Asia session? Yeah, if you could do that, that'd be cool. Um, because the thing is, market's really slow during Asia, right? It moves like maybe like 5, 10 points. So if I'm dropping like 1,000 contracts or so, or they don't even have to be dropped at the same point, I can kind of pyramid them in. That'd be enough to push market, 10 points. And we'd go for a smaller target. We'd go for like 10, 20 points versus 40 because we can keep it a lot tighter since the volatility is not as high. So yeah, something that we could probably look at. CJ said, "Sean, you need to meditate and listen to what Bernard the Algo is telling you so that you can trust it more." He's starting to feel disrespected. I know that the algo, so if you look at the data, and for those of you who have access to the spreadsheet, the data shows that it's profitable long term. It's just you got to eat these losses sometimes, right? That's just part of the game, eating the losses. As much as I hate eating the losses, it's just those things that you just have to take in. Um, all right, we got the entry coming up right now, guys. So 705 was no entry. We have another one coming up right here in a few. It is going to be for a buy, of course. So we need to have a buy signal come up. I'm looking at the market profile. Price pretty much rejected off the point of control right there. Exactly. It doesn't always reject off it though. So this is why I don't like using outside factors because you can see over here, price broke right past the point of control, right? So it doesn't necessarily have to respect it all the time. That's why I wasn't going to use this as an outside factor for me to avoid my trade. But I mean, price was due for a retracement, and it is retracing. Retested the imbalance here again. It's doing pretty much what we talked about earlier with Masij. He mentioned it's probably going to sit at the imbalance most of the day. And that's exactly what's happening here. It is sitting right at the imbalance. The daily candle here is now red. It's very green earlier. Now it's back to down to red. This is why I don't really like following the daily candle either. A lot of people like to use this, the power of three. Um, I don't think it's super relevant, but I don't think it's also very relevant either because you could be chasing it when it was green earlier. Now it's back to red. All right, so the 713 is going to be a no entry, it looks like. I actually don't mind that it's no entry because I'd rather have no entries than riskier trades here. So we're going to be entering a cluster of against momentum trades coming up shortly. Let's see, Samsit took a stop loss on the inverse fair value gap for a buy. Yeah, it's all good. It's tricky. It's tricky, obviously, right? Today's market is always a little tricky. So it looks like he was trying to take the inverse back into the there was a oh, my mouse is all over the place. So he was trying to get in from right here. Let me show you real quick where Sam was trying to get in from the inverse, which is it looked like it could have happened right there. Bounce off the imbalance here and then inverse back up. So I think your analysis on there was good. It looks like it could have, yeah. So I'm looking at right here because it's a nice projection, push up. It looks like price is actually going to try and just range within this area now, Sam. But yeah, there's an inverse right there because it looked like price is going to pull back into here and possibly push back to fill this liquidity, right? Again, this is why I don't like trading technicals at all anymore because it's so tricky. There's so many reasons for it to come back down and there's so many reasons for it to come up, right? You got to choose a direction. And I personally don't like making those decisions. I like to just take it a certain way, especially because if you look at market structure here, everything is bullish. So like our buy there from earlier, it everything lined up basically strong bullish on the 1, 5, 15, 30, 1 hour. Looking at the overall trend here, super, super bullish across the board. So, I mean, obviously big, strong retracement, but using, common sense here, the buys here do make the most sense. So, all right, we're entering the cluster of trades here. If you guys are looking at my list of entries. So let's see. All right, this is a reversal point. Those of you who are looking to catch it, the algo is identifying that a reversal is likely to happen right here. As long as there's no buy signal that closes right here. I just put the timestamp there. Cluster starting. So the reversal is supposed to happen over the next couple minutes. All right, so here is the 716 that's running right now. I'm not in this position, guys. This is against momentum. If you guys are looking at my algo list, this isn't one that I'm personally looking to take, but I am following it here. The reversal was identified at this point. Masisha trust true. The algo doesn't like you not trusting it. The algo might try and fade us, right? Let's see what we got here. Yeah, Broxton supply is still holding, looking to see if the algo has something in the next few. Masish said, I think it might have to break through the large imbalance and reclaim it. Then it will head right back up. We'll have to see. Let's see. Barack is asking. No, they're not all sells. They're actually mostly buys. I mean, if you're looking at the spreadsheet, it says right there, Brock. So 716 is against momentum. It has a max drawdown of 5.76, overall probability of 55%, buy probability of 58.33, sell percentage of 50. So obviously there's more, the buys are higher. So that's why it's for a buy. And the profit factor is 2.387. So it's for a buy. Um, oh, okay, got you. Yes, you're a little too ahead, Brock. Brock's at 720. It's only 717 right now. That's why we're looking at that specific one, or 716 actually. Yeah, those are with momentum later. But this is against. That's why we're marked up right here at 716. So we'll see where this ends up going. So again, I don't like taking these against momentum trades. They're good to identify possible reversal points, but not necessarily to jump into those positions there specifically. Let's see. Hey, Masish, so for that tool that you use to identify the reversals, is that on TradingView or is that because I'm like curious, like how did you get that? Because you know how it turns or you have the waves? Because the thing is like with these indicators, are you able to go in the future? Because that'd be cool, right? If you could see that, like, for example, the pivots here, if we could see it kind of wave through here and we already looking at the candles following it, I think that'd be kind of crazy, but I don't think TradingView does that. Oh, okay, gotcha. You made it. Okay, it's a different program. That makes sense. No, makes total sense. That's why I was like confused because I've never seen an indicator go into the future. Nice, nice. Okay. Yeah, no, I understand what you're doing. It's a like a wave analysis, basically. Yeah, it's not possible for PineScript because you can't go ahead of time. That would be cool though, right? If you could overlay it onto your chart and then just see, okay, the reversal is happening at some point. Technically, we could do it ourselves, but it's yeah, exactly. You could just mark the level. So for example, we have a cluster of against momentum that is around this period right here, 716 to 7 18. And if we wanted to draw it ourselves, of course, you can just create like an arc in a sense, something like that. And then that level could be like the stop area, I guess. All right, so Sam got out for break even on this trade. Um, I mean, it's against momentum, so it's not really one that I'd be looking to get into anyways. We'll follow it. We're just following it, but I'm not in it. CJ named the algo Bernard. I do it myself all the time using Bernard, but you know that already, yeah. If you know how to use the algo to your advantage, guys, it's a huge, huge advantage, of course. It's uh it's a huge advantage to see these, the possible reversals happening and whatnot. All right, I'm gonna keep updating my positions here. Let's go to our main markup chart. So there was an imbalance right here. So it looks like it invalidated the imbalance a little later, Sam. So it invalidated this imbalance a little later. I think this is one that we talked about. So it failed over here, basically rejected off it, and then now it's pushing back up further. Um, I think what I can do right here now, because we're kind of just watching, is I can draw structure. Not that it's really important, but I can draw to kind of see where price is, now kind of sitting. Because it looks like price isn't really pushing out of this area anymore. So it looks like this is pretty much the range, guys. It's established a range here. I don't like when price ranges like this, but it is what it is. We just got to follow it, see where it ends up going. Um, 717, 718. I mean, these trades are overlapping, so it's not. There's actually a trade that went the other way here. So the 716, it's either a loss or a win. I think this is a loss actually. So I'll just put loss here. 717, there was no entry. 718. Yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of entries for today. So 718 over here it looks like it won. Yeah. This is another against momentum, so this is a win right here. And 720, this is for a sell. All right, there's a bunch of not really overlapping, but they're entries that are moving this direction. So we had this one come up right here. There's another 720 entry. This is a no entry actually because the momentum didn't close before it. 720 is right there. 725 is coming up shortly. This is a hard part of like tracking the entries when they come up so quickly. No entry, but the sell did come down. And then we have another cluster of entries coming up here shortly. These are not target entries, but they're not really a cluster. They're kind of spread out. All right, so we'll follow through right here. I mean, if this is the case and price does follow through with this spreading out cluster, then it's likely to keep dropping from here. Can't say for sure, but this is kind of what we're expecting, what we're seeing here. So possible cluster right there, or I guess follow through. So we have our next target entry coming up in like 20 minutes. It's a while. We got a while for it. All right. Yeah, so Justice over here was asking in the chat to message, like, Do you have any requirements for understanding what's relevant? And like what Masish mentioned, all the data is relevant, right? It just depends on like what you're looking for specifically because they all have their pros and cons, right? For me, my main focus is really going to be like max drawdown because my main thing is I don't want to ever blow my accounts, right? I'm okay with taking losses, but I never want to blow my account. So if I focus on max equity drawdown, it makes it virtually impossible for me to blow my accounts. I think that's the key thing to kind of take into consideration. Um, because yeah, I like winning, but I prefer to lose less versus winning more, right? I mean, I want a balance to be there, but your main goal of trading is to not blow accounts, right? I think that's the key thing. If you can survive losing periods and then make it to the winning periods, that's why for me the most important thing I like to follow is max equity drawdown. That and then profit factor. Because for me, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for minimizing my losses and maximizing my wins. If you're just looking to have more wins and you don't care how many losses you have, then win rate's going to be main factor, right? Because you want to have a high win rate, but you don't care how many times you lose to have that high win rate. So it just depends on like what you're looking for. But like what Masish said, all the data and the statistics are relevant. A bigger one that we're going to probably look at is going to be the Sharpe and Sortino ratio. These are important, but we can't really pull it with such little data, right? We have to have years of data to really have the proper number here. That's why looking at smaller data sets, we're looking at specific things like profit factor and max equity drawdown. But in the future, once we have more data sets, you can start to look at stuff like Sortino and Sharpe ratio because those are based on the monthly basically data set. So like, if every month is profitable, then those numbers would be good. But for the most part, we're looking on a 20 sample. So I wouldn't say it's irrelevant, but it's not useful for the sample size. All right, so we have let's see, this one over here came up 725. I mean, that trade's still running at 725. And then now we're getting overlapping trades again. So these are going to overlap, but like it's hard to really like to keep certain trades out, right? This one over here had a pending momentum, so I think I'd be very cautious about taking specific ones here because this one is already pending with a buy signal. See, the ATR is actually really low right now. It's at 19. So we'll keep following this here I mean, you guys can see our listed trades. It's a lot of trades here to be following for today. CJ said currently in my third 10-minute entry for the day. Hopefully the sessions won't trip it up. Are you mainly taking the 10-minute now, CJ? That's one thing that I wanted to look into too. So I might kind of play around with it. I wanted to look at more obscure time frames, not necessarily the 10-minute, but I was going to look at the 2-minute, the 3-minute, maybe the 4-minute, up until the 5. Right. I was going to go and look at those specifically. I think having more obscure time frames or time periods are going to be useful. Because you could find an edge on pretty much any time frame, but like the 1 minute is so choppy and so like all over the place that it makes it very tricky for the entries, of course. So there's two entries running alongside each other right here. The 729 is right next to it. It's still coming down. It's basically two sells right here running right now to the downside. We got another one coming up right after. The cluster is still following through right now as we speak. Justice is asking for resources, books, etc. Um, I mean, your best friend would probably be ChatGPT, Justice. I mean, that's there's books and resources out there, but you can literally ask ChatGPT, like, hey, ChatGPT, you're a professional quant trading specialist or whatever. What are the criterias that are most important, when putting together an algorithmic strategy or a quant strategy? And they'll tell you literally what it is. And it's going to tell you max equity. It's going to literally tell you these things because that's the stuff that's important. It's also going to incorporate, I mean, there's only so many parameters that you can kind of put into play, right? So you can ask ChatGPT to give you like a list of things in order, and it'll give you a list of things, but realistically, they're all going to be of relevance. So guys, this one over here at 625, we're gonna count this one as the loss. It's not a non-targeted entry, but I'm gonna count this one right here as a loss. The other ones that are overlapping, those are just gonna be no entry. Because there's no point in having a bunch of trades here and then they're all gonna be overlapping each other. So 629 is gonna be no entry because it was an overlap. And this is to keep it realistic, right? Because you're probably never going to. And we're thinking about like realistic market. Like if you're trading, you're not going to enter another one while another trade's currently running. So I'm going to put overlap over here on the list. There's another one coming up right here. This is going to be a no entry, 732 or 31. Yeah. Yeah, guys. So don't underestimate ChatGPT or any AI feature. If you're looking for specific data points, like ChatGPT is probably the best one for like, or not the best one, but it's one of the better ones to identify, looking at historical data and stuff like that. It's not going to be perfect, but it'll kind of point you in the direction versus looking at specific books and whatnot. Because like what Masij mentioned, like the books aren't really going to help because all this stuff is like real life. You need to experiment and figure it out, right? If you think about all the quants and the hedge funds and stuff, nobody really follows books, right? Everything's based off creativity. You got to be creative and kind of figure out like what the edge is, because whatever these books wrote about in the past, probably not going to be relevant today. You'll see a lot of quant books that were written like early 2000s when high frequency trading came into play, and a lot of that stuff is pretty irrelevant now because there's no way you can compete with those supercomputers and stuff like that. That's why for me, I'm going for like the low hanging fruit for the most part. I'm just trying to get in and out where I can just to get like a small little piece of the pie. All right, so 731, that was an overlap, I believe. Or no, there's no entry. 732 also, these are all no entries because I'm looking at them as they come up. It's for a sell for momentum, and we have a buy momentum right now. So no entry. There's actually a lot of no entries for today. Another no entry. We have a reversal coming up soon if you guys are looking to get into that one. Mm-mm-mm. All right, I'm gonna step away for 1 second, guys, grab some water, and I will be right back. All right, guys, I'm back. Sam over here said got full TP on the sweep and full TP on the MPS V2 after the sweep. Nice. Solid work right there. Damn, a lot of no entries for today. It's crazy how many no entries we got right here. Yeah, CJ said he's focusing on forward testing the 10-minute, 5-minute, and 3-minute. Eventually want to forward test gold, water, natural gas, crude oil into 2026. Nice. That's solid. I mean, the algo works on all the assets. I'm kind of like Yeah, I'm a little curious now. I mean, look, because YM has been super choppy lately, right? This has been choppy for the past 2 months. I did some research because I've been like researching a lot of different hedge funds and like figuring out there's different assets that people like to trade. Um, the slower markets seem to actually work pretty well, like the bonds market and stuff like that. I don't trade ZN or anything like that, but I did read about like certain people who are making a killing trading, the bonds market, which I might look into as well. Um, but like you said, there's different assets that CJ is looking at, water, crude oil, etc. YM isn't the only asset to trade. If you're going to trade like the top three indexes, they're all going to move very similar, right? YM, NQ, ES. But when you start looking at the smaller stuff like currencies, right? Because if you look at the list of assets here for futures, there's a lot of different assets to trade. It's not just YM. There's a lot of smaller assets here that a lot of people don't really pay attention to as much. Like crude oil was big at one point, and it's not as big now with a lot of people. So that's something that could be used. The Russell 2K, natural gas, Euro futures. There's a lot of different things here to trade. This is something that Miss Siege asked me, a while back too, if I would be open to trading different assets. If the money's there and the profitability is there, I'm open to anything. Honestly, I don't care about sticking with YM. I know I've been trading YM every like pretty much every day for like 8 years, but I'm always open to try other things. I'm always open to make more money in different markets. The thing is like YM has just been it hasn't been the same. It's been a weird year for YM. Personally, it's just I know we've been trading YM for a long time, and I feel like YM has been very different lately, at least for this year. Like we usually don't see a lot of choppiness like this, and a lot of ranging and a lot of back and forth and a lot of flat. Like, see how flat this is? Like, yeah, I get it. We're in the winter market, but usually have like maybe 1 or 2 days are like this, and the rest are like pretty decent. So yeah, I mean we'll see. Anyways, 633 no entry, 638. Um, this is against momentum. Another no entry. It's crazy how many no entries are here. I think this is like what throws me off the most. There's so many no entries here. Like I have a list of like over 20 trades, and there's a ton of no entries. Sam said, Sean, look at NQ. Yeah, I'm gonna have to pass on that. I'm gonna pass on NQ for sure. I would actually like slower markets, not faster markets. But I know Sam's kidding. But yeah, NQ is kind of similar to gold. I don't think I like NQ or gold. It's a little too volatile. All right, let me go down the chat real quick and let's see what else we got here. Let's see. Justice said, do you think that against clusters could also identify trend continuations? Yeah, no, I do agree with that. Um, like if you see an against cluster, so like we had an against cluster right here, right, and it turned it around, and then another against cluster for a continuation back up. So that's the problem that we're not really a problem, but something that I've been noticing a lot is that, the bulk of the market happens by 7 o'clock. And then by 7 o'clock, it starts to die out. So yeah, if you see some against momentums prior or like early around seven, like down here, right? I think 7:05 to 7:16, this was a cluster of reversal. You can see it turn around, but then from there, the volatility just kind of flattens out quite a bit. So then it becomes obsolete. So yeah, no, I do think the clusters do help with identifying continuations or reversals or back into the direction of where it was initially. But usually the movement just kind of flattens out a bit. Sam said I meant today. So bad NQ, I agree. NQ and gold are beasts, but very rewarding if you know. Yeah, exactly. I used to trade, well, I used to play around with them before. Let's take a look at NQ real quick. Yeah, NQ is very choppy. I mean, it looks like on the 1 minute. Yeah, NQ is actually worse than YM. We were complaining about YM being very choppy right here. NQ, this is a different story. Look how choppy it is. You weren't kidding, Sam. This is pretty bad in comparison to YM. It actually makes YM look really good. Now I'm curious with ES. What is ES looking like? ES looks just like YM. It's or not as bad, but Actually, it's worse. YM looks good out of the three right now. Out of the three, YM is the best right now compared to ES and NQ. NQ is pushing up, but it's very choppy. And then same with ES. It's just going sideways. So YM is actually the best main, big three asset right now. That's moving pretty decent. CJ said, I'm glad you were all finally trusting Bernard. It's so nice to see, especially if we are transitioning to true quant trading. Yeah, I agree. Ashish said, the penning momentum demon. I know. We got to pay attention to like the candles building up. See how we have momentum kind of flipping back and forth here, guys? This isn't good, right? It's not good. You don't want to see this flipping back and forth so often like that. We have another penning momentum right here for a buy. 738 was a no entry. We have another reversal or 40. Actually, it's another no entry right here. There's a lot of no entries today, guys. Given we had such a big list of of trades today, massive, massive list of no entries. All right, well, we have the target entry coming up shortly, guys. I don't know if we're gonna get it. The target entry. So if you guys are looking at my list, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. There's a one target entry coming up right now. Is with momentum, has a max drawdown of 5.43%, overall probability of 60, buy probability of 75, sell probability of 37.50, and a profit factor of 3. So the numbers are great on this one. I just don't think we're going to get a momentum here. We would have to get it on this very candle. And it's not looking like it. Yeah, it's really not looking like it over here. All right, I'm updating the spreadsheet. Spreadsheet's pretty much good to go for the most part. 718. All right, so looking at the list, so I mean, obviously there's going to be no entry here, guys. There was no buy signal that came up, so this was the next target entry that we were looking for. This was the numbers I just referred to. It was a good, the data was good. It was just there's no entry there. Man, that's crazy. It's crazy how many no entries we have here for today. So we did have two wins that were against momentum, but I mean there were no entries, obviously, because we don't take the against. Okay, so this is what I am looking at for tomorrow. I think tomorrow. So what I've noticed a lot is that if we have a lot of days where they're kind of flat or there's like losses, the next days are going to be a lot better. And I'll show you the spreadsheet in a little bit. I don't know if we'll get an entry here at 750, the next one, because it's going to be the other direction. I mean, we possibly could. So this is what I would like to see here if we do have that entry. So we have one more target entry for the day. In order for us to have that, we need price to reverse from some point. So either push up, reverse, come back down, or reverse from here, break and retest, continue down lower. Those are basically the two scenarios that we would need in order for the next target entry to actually come up. So we would need to see a rejection from here, something like that, rejection, continuation, right? That's going to be one setup. The other setup here is going to be push up here, reverse, and a heavier drop back down. Honestly, I don't know if we'll get that though. All right. Yeah, Justice said, yeah, AI is how I learned to code. Shout out to Claude. Yeah, that makes sense. The market today is way different than 10 years ago. Yeah, definitely. Nice. I'm see just exiting his swing trade on Nvidia today, plus 5%. IT was options, so made way more than 5%, but the price change was 5. Yeah, no, of course, if you're in the money, solid swing trade right there, Masish. Yeah, soybean as well. So like Masish is referring to what I was mentioning earlier with other assets, ZS soybean. Soybean is a pretty good asset. I mean, a lot of people talk about it and joke about it, but it's actually a pretty good one. Um, let's see, soybean futures. See, it's a little choppy, but it's not super bad. I mean, it's choppy but directional. There's gonna be a lot of dead period, but when the market's open, it moves pretty smooth. Like looking at this over here, like this is nice, right? I think this would be very key. This was yesterday's soybean from like Monday market open until like, I mean, basically the end of the session. Yeah, so I mean, if and when we have the data, I mean, I wouldn't mind trying different assets. Move slower, so like when we do drop contracts into the market, it'll really push it. So going back to so I have had this drawn up since this morning, guys. This was the imbalance from earlier, and this is the second imbalance. Price has pretty much respected the imbalance the entire day. Um, yeah, there's an imbalance right here where price came up, and then there's another imbalance right here where price came down. And price has pretty much respected it for the most part, majority of the day. It's been bouncing back and forth between the imbalance. All right, so looking over here, guys, we have a possible setup. So if you guys are looking at my list of target entries, the entry that's coming up, it's with momentum, has a max drawdown of 5.70, has an overall probability of 55, buy probability of 45, sell probability of 66, profit factor of 2.444. It may come up, but we'll see. See, the thing that I'm most concerned about is the fact that we're over here at the imbalance and we're right at the sessions. But this could be a good thing. This price could eat into the imbalance and actually come down lower, right? I mean, unless we get a buy signal right now, which could also be the case. Yeah, Masij mentioned, I think clusters just identify that we're going into chop, to be honest. Yeah, and I agree with you too, Masij, especially because the clusters sometimes aren't all in one direction. The other thing that I was looking at as well is that the tick chart might be helpful. I mean, I have the tick chart now, so I might look into it, but for the most part, we'll see. The problem with the tick chart is that it doesn't have exact times. I mean, that's kind of what screws it up a little bit. Yeah, it doesn't have times. Volatility is pretty flat right now. Let's see, you should trade on the one tick time frame. You know, if you open up the one tick time frame, it actually doesn't even have candles. It has just lines. I think we're gonna get a penny momentum here, guys. Um, let's go to the one tick. So here's the one tick chart. It's crazy. Um, Yeah, I think there's a pending momentum on here. I don't know if you guys saw the pending momentum flicker. But if that's the case, then you know the entry right here is not going to be an entry for us to look at. If you guys are looking, yeah, so there's a flickering momentum that I just talked about. I knew it was going to happen. It probably didn't happen on this one, but I knew it was going to flicker right there. So unfortunately, this is going to be a no entry for me, guys. So this is one of those days, and let me show you guys the spreadsheet. It's crazy how many no entries we had for today. It's a lot. Like given that we had so many trades listed, there was barely any opportunities for today. If you guys want to take it extra on risk right here, this is a 752 entry. As soon as this candle closes in the next 20 seconds, this does have impending momentum, so this is going to be very tricky. You're going to be trading against momentum in this situation. It has a 5.70 max drawdown. It has an overall probability of 55%, buyer probability of 45, a sell probability of 66, and a profit factor of 2.44. The numbers are good, but the fact that we have the flickering momentum here, we talked about this, is tricky because you're entering a sell here, but the momentum is already shifting the other way, right? So I wouldn't take this trade here. This would just be a no entry for me. And see how price is pushing up higher? You don't want to stand in front of momentum, right? You want to go with momentum. Not to say that this trade won't play out,
Connection lost.
and I got a connection lost as well. Um, but yeah, let me show you guys the spreadsheet. It's crazy how many no entries we had for today. I'm honestly really shocked that this was the case. All right, so here is a spreadsheet for today. Like this is crazy how many no entries came up. I mean, the market was choppy given that. So it's not that crazy, right? I mean, not crazy. It's just crazy because I was like, damn, we have like 20 something entries today. There's got to be something here that's going to work out or come up, you know? I don't even think we've had a list this big before where it barely fits on the screen. But given the market was super choppy, not even just YM, but in general, you know, looking at NQ, you can't really blame the algo for not giving entries today or not having actual entries because NQ is super choppy. ES is super choppy. It's just super choppy market today. And then YM. The good thing with the trade earlier is that it didn't execute on all my accounts. So I mean, for the most part, I'm the only one that ate the bullet on that one. Nobody else took that one or people who were part of the hedge fund, of course, didn't get into that position. So I had to eat the bullet on that trade, which is perfectly fine. That's one thing that I like about the copier is that if it pushes out too far, it'll cancel out everyone else, which it did. It pushed up 20 points. So it was like halfway to target, and then it came right back down because we had news at 7 o'clock. Um, but yeah, here's the spreadsheet, guys, for today. It's crazy how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. 24 listed entries here. Majority of them basically no entries. The only one that I was looking to get into right here at 655 was the one that I took. And it lost, unfortunately. It was right at news. Um, this was an overlap, so obviously I can get into that one. This one is no entry at 713. This was no entry at 744. And then this one right here, this was a flickering momentum. So obviously we sat out of that one. But yeah, this is pretty much our statistics for the day so far. Is two losses basically documented that are like one of, you know, on the list of trades. We did have wins here, but I'm not documenting them. So we had two wins right here. We had a win that was against momentum at 718. Obviously, we're not taking the against momentum. And there was another one right here. So technically, if we were to take every trade, including the against, this would be at a positive 2R. But I'm being realistic with you guys, right? I said I'm not taking the against momentum, so I'm not going to just put them there to show that we have a win. There's just no if you're not going to be real with yourself, you're not going to have real trading results. You got to be real with yourself. If you're going to follow a certain rule, you got to follow it. You can't just use it sometimes, not use it sometimes. These are my stats so far for like this week has been really, really slow for the most part. I took a loss today and yesterday, basically. We're at negative 2R for the week. It's not horrible because let me show you guys um, previous stats, right? So, for example, this is from the week before. So, this is from December 1st until the 4th, right? This is last week. On Monday, it was a plus 1R day. Tuesday was a negative 1R day. Wednesday was a positive 2 hour day. Thursday was a negative 1 hour day. And then Friday was a positive 4 hour. So you can see if you have a slow week, it usually picks up a little more. And this is the week before that. So this was November. So negative 1 hour on Monday. Oh, this was Thanksgiving actually. So there's not a lot of days here, but -3 on Monday, -1 on Tuesday, and then +1 on Wednesday. The week before that over here. And if you guys want the statistics are up for you guys if you guys want to pull up the spreadsheet. So November 17th, the previous week, it was +3 hour on Monday. This is why I don't avoid Mondays because they're not always going to be bad, right? Sometimes they're going to be good. Tuesday was a negative, was a just flat, no entries. Wednesday was a 2 hour. Thursday was a 1 hour. Friday was a 2 hour. So overall, the weeks usually balance out. That's why I'm okay with like having a -2 hour for this week so far because whenever we have something like this, it usually balances out later in the week. So this week might suck a little bit, or this week so far, but there's going to be a good day this week, which is going to recoup the losses. So I'm gonna keep trading it, keep doing what I'm doing. Obviously, the statistics and the data show for it, so I don't really need to be too worried about that there. Let's see. Rev is asking, "Hey Sean, you're not taking trades on the hedge fund." So I don't know if you were paying attention earlier, Rev, with the 655. I did try to take it, but the trade pushed up, and when it pushed up 20 points in profit, it canceled everything else. So it took it on the main account. That's why I said I'm the only one that bit the bullet on the 655. That's the only one that I bit the bullet on, but nobody else was in it because the way that I have the algo set, or not the algo, the way that I have my copier set up is if it pushes up a certain amount, it cancels out all the other pending orders. So this is the one that I got into earlier, right? I got in right there, like right below, and it pushed up 20 points in profit. So with it pushing up 20 points in profit, yeah, so with it pushing up like that, it just didn't copy on the other accounts. That's why it didn't execute on those. Oh no, I'm trading all of the accounts. Yeah. We tried to get into it yesterday too, but or no, we did get into it yesterday, but today was just that one order didn't fill. So I'm trading all of them for the most part. Let's see. Let's see if there's any other questions here. Justice said 2 losses today. It's been a while since I had two in a day. All good. Yeah, and that's usually my limit too. We usually don't have more than 2 losses. If you look at the losses on the spreadsheet, well, I'm capped at 2 losses. So even if I had 2 losses, I'd be done. But if you look at the spreadsheet here, there's maybe like one day here. So this is like one of those outlier days, but for the most part, they don't really happen like that. We gotta get Alina. It's 8 o'clock. Here's Alina. All right, baby girl. Let's see what we got here real quick before we call it a day. But let's see. Yeah, Sam said he's done for the day, keeping his green streak, may trade later in an hour. Yeah, if the volatility picks up, but it's looking pretty flat for the most part. Here, let's see. Hey, Lila, CJ. Yeah, I know she's growing. She's getting really big. It's 8 o'clock, so like it's her playtime right now. But let me just go over the rest of the questions and then we'll wrap this up. So let's see. I just said so, Sean. Since we have time, would you mind showing how to get the combos to show up? I understood the parameters, but haven't been able to replicate the list. Um, so are you talking about the API or because Missy just responded to you? Are you talking about the extension or are you talking about the the screener? Because the screener is not going to show all the entries on there, and your screener is probably going to look different from mine because I'm on Ultimate. So like mine shows more data than yours. Unless you're on Ultimate, your screener is going to look different from mine because you're limited on how many trades you can list on your on your screener. I mean, I could pull up the screener here. Let's see if I have it lists. I'll open up the algo here. But like whatever I show you on here, it's not going to show up on yours. because it depends on which plan you're on. I'm not even sure which plan you're on. I was on Pro before, but I'm on Ultimate now. So if you wanted to do something like that, you just put the data there. It's not going to show up exactly how the list shows up. Because I mean, for example, my list had like 20 something trades on it, right? So you're not going to be able to find that. I go by the minute. So I go one by one by the minute to identify. That's why mine and it doesn't take that long. I mean, it might seem like it might take forever, but it really doesn't take that long. I go basically from 8:29. I do this. And then I go by every single minute. So I'll do with momentum. If the statistics show that it's above 50, I'll just leave it at that. So like for example, it's at 60. So obviously I'd go with momentum, not against it, right? And then for example, I go to the next one, 8:30. And it probably takes me like 30 minutes to get all the trades listed. So 65% probability. Obviously, I'm not going to switch it to against, right? I'm just going to document this as a listed trade and put the information down. And then, 631 here. So again, it's at 55. So there's like no point in me looking at against because all the statistics here, but you can see the max drawdown is 17. So this wouldn't be listed. Drawdown's too heavy. And then 632, I would do that. And like this would be 40%. So I'm like, okay, if that's too low, then I'll probably check out the against momentum. This is at 35. 632 just wouldn't be an entry that would be listed. So that's how I do it. I mean, if you want to use the list here, you can see the list. For mine, it shows a sample size of 32, so it's not going to show you 20 trades. You'd still have to go by one because it'll just show you like these here, but they're not going to be like the best trades, of course. But that's how I would set it up. If you're just looking for like if you were trying to just skim through certain certain times, and then again you'd have to change your times over here as well. Like if you're doing 6:29 or yeah, 8:29 would be the number there to 10. I would just do it by 30 minutes or by the hour. So I do like 8:29 to like 900. And then Alina talks a lot now, so you guys are gonna hear making noise. All right, you want to say hi to your fans? Yeah, she knows. It's crazy how babies know. It's like she knows it's 8 o'clock. I don't know how she knows it's 8 o'clock, but she's like telling me it's time to play. Um, Yeah, so and then also Masij Sachon, you should use a bar magnifier. That's where do we turn that on? Oh, for the entry. Wait, where did you see that setting? I know what you're talking about. I just forget where it's at. Oh, there we go. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, no, it's good to know. Reps and mine are all grown up. Miss that baby phase. I know she's growing so fast. She's gonna be. I feel like she's gonna be walking pretty soon. She's super ahead on her milestone, so she's like, "All right, baby girl, we're almost done, okay?" But let me see what else we got over here. Yeah, so CJ said these are his entries that were taken for the day. Nice work, CJ. Yeah, so CJ pretty much got into these right here on the 10-minute time frame. If you guys want to trade on the 10, feel free to trade on the 10. There's different time frames to trade on. I'm mainly looking on the 1 minute, but I might start to document the ones on different time frames, like the 2 minute, 3 minute, 4 minute, all the way up to the 10 minute. It just takes some time, but again, if you want to use the extension that Masij has created, I mean that'll help a lot as well. Just to have the information ready to go. But all right, guys, as you guys can see, Lena is ready to all right, show me your dance moves. All right, guys. So Lena's ready to go play. So I'm gonna go play with her real quick. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Discord. But we're gonna wrap this up for the day. So, all right, guys, if you guys have any questions, again, just hop onto the Discord. You guys can hop into the chat. I'll respond to you guys on there. But if not, I'll see you guys back here tomorrow for the next event. So, all right, guys, I'll catch you guys then. Have a great rest of your morning, and I'll see you guys here tomorrow. See you just said fix your head.